Hell yes! I love these songs from Lemmings, especially the Genesis version. Welcome back to another chapter of Koherence. Last time, Kenshi just actually resumed Aiko's training, only this time it wasn't personally. He actually requested her to join the White Lotus Society and work with the monks and Fusion, as well as Kai there. And they were discussing their brief meeting before Raiden, Fusion, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, and others were discussing before their departure that they needed to increase endorphins and positivity amongst the White Lotus and the Order of Light, because they were discussing the negative side effects of meditation, which had recently affected most of the monks, and they actually wanted to restore their hearts, and Liu Kang was actually warned about it, and it's not just for enlightenment. So they decided, actually Kenshi and Aiko decided, that they should look for bandmates and perform a number not only countering the Matoken ceremony coming up and the repercussions, but also to restore the Shaolin's hearts. And so Kenshi is still going to train Aiko, and they're going to climb up the tallest Chinese monastery. Alright, continuation 4. This one's interesting. Aiko woke up with a jolt, her mind and her heart feeling that something was pulling them apart, something tense, pessimistic, and unnerving. She wondered if that sensation belonged to her heart gem monitoring over the Matoken land. Sure enough, as she gazed into it, there was some build-up. Perhaps there were small repercussions, as if belonging to powwows or warm-up numbers. Or maybe the defeatism belonged to that aforementioned incident Fusion stated, when the Shaolin were dwindling in numbers and shying away from the light. Either way, she knew within herself each coincidence can be driving her heart and mind apart, and she could succumb to darkness and despair, into the drum's mercy. She knew what she had to do, and focused on Kenshi's next daunting task, the climb up the 30-foot Chinese monastery. I like your determination. There's no worse demon than your own personal demons, even worse than those dwelling in the Netherrealm. So, why or how should we climb that? She pointed to the summit where a stone-carved temple stood, and the height alone made her stomach churn. Fusion and I set the coordinates of the rip leading to the Edenian palace. We shall rally up any musicians who are willing to unite the peaceful realms and restore light to many hearts. The heart shows the strongest desires and restores peace, and without it, the Shaolin are worthless. For the Shaolin, she kept her heart gem close despite the possible beats of the Matoken, or even when her brothers entered her mind. She knew it'd be the only thing to replenish her energy during the fatiguing trek. She even vaguely remembered the meltdown she had, in which one of her crystals was forged from her concentrated energy. Going at a steady pace instead of rushing up on the certainty by tripping on a stone slab, Aiko paced behind Kenshi. She wondered how long it'd take to climb to the summit, and Kenshi mentioned it depends on her stride and how long it'd reach 6 steps. To them it took about 3 seconds. Kenshi calculated it can take them about a half hour non-stop. Her legs were growing very heavy after about 5 feet, yet she and her heart still pressed against them. She was very relieved the crisp air was present, and she wouldn't have to descend on naturally made steps with no security. Before she knew it, her stamina was starting to waver, her heart racing as she panted. The duo stopped for a quick breather. Amongst her dry mouth, she spoke in between a few breaths. "How high did we make it?" Kenshi was more steadfast. "Approximately halfway up." "Oh, jeez. I only wish there was an elevator here." "No, Aiko. This monastery is designed for the abiding of the monks. It wastes their effort if it's more modernized. It is a test for those who can access it. We must press on." She never thought neither of the unaffected Shaolin would surrender, so she momentarily bent over to catch her breath before she followed Kenshi, who was sure the air isn't any thinner than they started. Nevertheless, her legs were growing sturdier but also weary, as were her arms as she swayed them. Still, Kenshi was her coach and encouraged her to save her energy as dialect would sap it, even though he was beginning to show signs of tiredness and a few beads of sweat. At one point, Aiko accidentally took a misstep, which made her slip on the edge of a stair. Her right knee began to ache upon impact, and Kenshi rushed to her side. Despite the pain, she heard a strong rhythm, not knowing if it belonged to her heart or... She began to get lightheaded and zoned out. Kenshi heard the same. "Aiko, your heartbeat maintains a good drum beat. Use that rhythm to empower yourself." She took in her mentor's words, albeit they were quieter. Then her mind shifted to a similar tune, utilizing that tempo. Once she had her defense mechanism activated, it seemed to rejuvenate herself, and Kenshi barely saw her body glow around her exhausted body, almost as if she had a backup source of energy. "No, I won't give up. I will not give up." She slowly rose, and little by little she picked up her pace again, and looked down to make sure she would step more securely, and instead of dwindling and treading on the height of the structure. She nearly heard Kenshi. "Yes, that's it. Keep going. You're almost there. Just 5 more feet. Never give up." Before she noticed, they finally reached the topmost pillar leading straight into the temple. Aiko's irritated body just became still, and she plopped her bottom, which seemed to be the only part not affected by the constant stress. Kenshi just hunched over for a while, and he mentioned she had mastered coherence, balancing her mind, heart, and even her weakened body, working together. She was stunned. "Yeah, your mind was drifting away into the darkness, hearing the Matoken drums, but through your courage, your heart managed to beat stronger in sync with it. Then your mind registered another tune using visualization, and the two motivated you to move and reach your destination. I even saw your body glow in this aura as well. So, that's what it is. I distracted myself and I felt my body have this surge, as if hot blood went through me. The pain minimized and I kept going, resisting the temptation. I don't like the cliches from The Power of Love and Friendship, but... No, it came from you. You were vulnerable until you had that second wind. All 3 entities worked together, just as what Liu Kang said. Only then can you achieve anything." Recalling the champion's lecture to Kai, Aiko couldn't help but smile. Using her weary body after a rest which dragged on, Aiko was escorted by Kenshi through the portal, and soon enough they arrived at the corner of the majestic throne room. The usual knights stood idly and lit up once they saw the heroic pair, as were the monarchs. "Sir Kenshi, Lady Aiko," Sindel addressed with a smile. "We have been expecting you. I suppose Fujin must have informed you all on our agenda." Katana cupped one of the cardiokinetic's hands. "It's great to see you two again. Where's Liu Kang?" She rubbed the back of her neck. He couldn't make it. After saying this, she knew that Katana frowned, despite knowing it, covering it with her vial. I'm sorry, but he had some personal business to attend to with the Matokan tribe of Earthrealm. Ah, yes, Nightwolf's former tribe, Sherrod added. They had been mostly passive to the defenders of Earth, despite their phenomenal shamanistic skills. Why would he actually return to his archaic roots? He, Raiden, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao, out of curiosity, had decided to help out with their last born offering his official name. Perhaps adoption as well. Kenshi laid out the meat and potatoes. As you all know, since we first met, Aiko is susceptible to tribal customs. Indeed. We're well aware of that. Ever since Katana and Jade told us about the tumultuous journey through Outworld and for the Deadly Alliance. Is it not a method to shield herself from the trance? Not only that, Your Majesty, but to also restore the Shaolin. They had been descending into the dark abyss, and meditation can expose your personal demons, opening up past traumatic wounds, and perhaps arise PTSD. How unfortunate. It's not common, as it's a scary thought, which is why we don't often encourage this practice. The Shaolin are our crucial allies from Earth, especially Raiden, Fujin, and the two champions. Still wore a hint of regret fighting the latter two warriors as Ermac. We're actually searching for talented musicians. We believe that with a revetting number, not only would it override the Matoka drums, as felt by Aiko, but also rejuvenate the Shaolin spirits. I think I know a lucky few who might be of some assistance. Although, I can't necessarily sing. She clutched her throat. I dread singing on account of my banshee screaming after my resurrection by Quan Chi and the exorcism by Nightwolf. I can hardly sing neither, as I usually can let out shrieks like Earthrealm's birds of prey. And I was also trained as a knight, not a musician. So who's saying that? Perhaps I would serve that purpose. I never saw you ever attend any balls, nor assemblies with an instrument. No. However, I think that with my soul kinesis as gifted by Shao Kahn, I'll be able to impersonate as one. After all, I was eligible to use the Edenia Kamidogu as the replacement for the millennia-doomed champion. You'll see. That may be feasible. Who do you have in mind? Ermac hesitated as he concentrated through his astronomical collection, which seemed to be peaceful as are willing to assist, rather than those raging and shrieking, driving the ninja mad by the Emperor's influence. After a few moments, he shut open his brown eyes as the green tint faded. I already have one. A man playing what seemed to be a hybrid between an electric-stringed instrument with a piano at the other end. It's incredible how the individual can play them both almost at the same time. Even Aiko never knew such a piece existed, as only from just random cartoon segments. No, it is real, Kenshi interjected with amazement. They actually call this a keytar. Needless to say, the autistic became giddy from the awe. Ermac managed to make one materialize using soul energy, as if it looked like it was forged from a solid simulation. He gave it several strums, then utilized both ends skillfully. Everyone applauded of Ermac's fast learning. Even Aiko stimmed. Looks like I still have it in me. Excellent! You shall aid the Shaolin, Kenshi, Aiko, and Fujin to restore their hearts and safeguard hers from the Matoken. How long until the ceremony begins? In 3 days, in Earthrealm standards. We're running out of time. We were planning on visiting Raiden's Sky Temple. Ashra's there too. I hope she can play, but it might take more than this. Some thumps were heard from a distance, even a cymbal crash. Momentarily, a 4-armed muscular beast headed out from the shadows. He peeked out and gave an interesting snarl. Aiko was just flabbergasted. Goro! This was indeed the first time seeing the bulky Shao Kahn, an Outworld champion. She did hear all the horror stories as how the unstoppable brute killed off the great Kung Lao and Art Lean. Even the peace negotiation with the centaurs and Kung Lao. He rose an arm. Fear not, mortal. I have no intention to harm you. He stepped closer to the meek warrioress. Aren't you betrothed to Kung Lao? Yeah. He laid out one of the calloused hands on her shoulder gently and gave it a few pats. You should be lucky to have an honorable man by your side, much like his ancestor. He's a brave and noble warrior. He has matured greatly from our first battle, and if he and his people would fall prey to the Makiba's descendants, I would be proud to pull them out of the darkest depths. Besides, I never played percussion in so long. He let out the last statement with excitement. Oh good, I'm almost done. A musician with 4 arms. Quite intriguing. So the Makiba do have a distant lineage to our people on Earth. Indeed they are, Sindel beamed. They may still be territorial, but ever since Onaga united the smaller realms into the foreboding frontier, it expanded, but not always prospered. Much as the ancient endangered dragons, we think some had migrated through a portal and entered your realm. So, the White Lotus was true. The Makiba arrived at Pangea eons ago, then occupied Africa before the land was split. Precisely. And do we have a song in mind? Specifically to the Shaolin sister, he read in her mind. Actually, yes. I hope we'd be able to learn it in time, and we would retrieve it. Kenshi just beat her to the punch as soon as she mentioned it. Won't spoil it yet. I won't reveal the final number right away. It would definitely ruin the surprise. And yeah, meditation causes negative perception and it's very depressing. I was also unsure aside from Goro and Quan Chi being musicians, so I had to make it up as I went, including Fujin, Ashra, and Ermac. And I wanted to make up something challenging for my OC. So I made up whatever as I went along, using that monastery and the art of coherence by utilizing both the heart and mind. Unfortunately, I had no experience with that process, but I hope it's semi-accurate, like a creative scientific license. And yeah, I feel the tribal drums, especially those that are big and vehement, can be tempting. I hope my brainstorming of the soundtrack is still accurate. Hasn't been made official yet, but once I made the podfic. So we got the formation of the band and the single number during the ceremony to safeguard the Matoka and brighten many hearts across the realms. May they emerge victorious. So until the next chapter, this is the Ikron Rider signing out. Good luck.